Here we go. Hey friends, welcome to Charlie Darwin Textiles. My name is Leah and I have a handmade clothing business where I create super eco-friendly alternatives to the fast fashion industry. I use 100% linen, I do plant dyed, I make everything custom sized by height. And most importantly, I make clothes that really fit my adventurous lifestyle, that are durable, lightweight, and breathable. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about choosing the vibe for my clothing that I create. And I put out, usually at this point, 2 collections per year, one in the spring, one in the fall. And I'm going to talk a little bit about choosing the vibe for the collection and choosing the vibe for my brand in general. So the first point is that I try to stay consistent across my brand. From collection to collection, from some of the very first pieces I've made, I think they match really well. They style really well with the pieces that I'm making today, 2.5 years later. So it's really important to me that my clothing stays consistent and that my customers can buy from me 2 years ago and in 5 years from now, and be building this wardrobe that really mixes and matches well together, because that's how I want my wardrobe as well. Is I want all of my pieces to flow seamlessly from one outfit to another, and for different occasions. So I try and stay really consistent across my brand. And that consistency for me, if I was gonna say my consistency in one word, it would just be earthy. I really love earthy colors. I love earthy fabrics. I love clothes that look good outside, that feel good when you wear them outside. Clothes that can easily turn back into the earth and are made from the earth. All of these things are elements of why my vibe is earthy. And so I really stick with that with every single thing that I make. It's earthy, it's plant dyed, it's linen. And within each collection, I also would say that there's sometimes a vibe. I think because all of my collections sort of blur together and match well together, it's not super distinct from one collection to the next, but I will say there's some collections where I might lean a little more heavily into, this is great clothes for hiking, or this is perfect for actually being a wedding guest, and it's still really earthy and lightweight and breathable, but maybe a little bit leans fancy. My second point that I want to talk about is what the vibe is really determined by also what I would personally want to shop. And I'll say, going back to the very beginning of my brand, everything I was creating and designing was built with this safety net of like, well, if nobody buys it, at least I have it in my closet. I own the sample of it. And so I want it to be something that I love and that I can get a lot of use out of, so that this wasn't a huge waste of my time to go through the arduous design and patterning and creation process for every single garment. And so now, luckily, pretty much all of my designs sell to an extent, some more than others, but I still carry that value with me, that I want the vibe to be something that I want to put out into the world. And when I walk into the room, what do I want people to think about me? And so, I never come across clothing like mine. I think I'm filling a gap in my life. When I go shopping, I never find stuff like mine. First of all, that's like marketed in the way that mine is, that has really cool earthy photography with just real people in it. I'm 5'1" and I'm my own model, so I can already guarantee you that most other clothing brands don't have someone so short in all of their pictures. And so it's nice to see some variation in height and what that might look like on a really petite person. And sometimes I'm now moving forward, you're gonna see in my upcoming fall collection, I'm adding in some new characters into my modeling shoots that are big and tall, and hopefully I'm going to be getting some different body types and sizes in the future. So anyway, I never come across anything that's, first of all, marketed like mine is, let alone plant dyed and made of linen, which is so soft. I'd say it's the most luxurious and simultaneously durable fabric combined. And I never found anything, like I said, custom sized. that's suitable for petites as well as big and tall people. And let alone, handmade. I think there are more and more handmade makers out there, but none quite with the style like mine. So I revel in that, and I love being a clothing brand that really gets to, I'd wear my clothes even if none of you bought them, and that's really important to me. I'm selfish. Okay, so how do I convey the vibe? The clothing can only go so far. It's just fabric sewn together. I think that the coloring and the fabric really put together the initial building blocks of the vibe, but what builds on that is how I do my photography and my styling in that photo shoot. So my photography, I do all pretty much outdoor fashion photography, and I've been doing that for the last couple of years. It has a lot of its own challenges, but I think that it is super rewarding with the outcomes. Every time I scroll through my own website, I love seeing all of the different places that I've visited and gotten to explore in the process of taking photos for my website. I'm going to talk about my fashion photography process and everything that goes into that in a future video. But for now, I'll just tell you that the location, I try and choose somewhere that has sort of dimension and texture to it. And it might be a little bit different than where I've done past shoots. So I'll put up some example pictures of where I've done photo shoots before. Sometimes it's super rocky. Sometimes it's a flowing field. A couple times I've done it in the woods. And I'm trying to think where else. I think I have one that's on like a rocky boardwalk with water behind me. And I love finding these new spots, and I think that I would say I don't put super big connection on the location with the collection itself. So that's like a fun element of surprise is, okay, we're gonna go to a place called Purgatory Chasm that has lots of rocks, and we get there and we take the pictures, and I can't exactly envision how the photos are gonna turn out in the end. And so it's a fun sort of mystery vibe element that I'm always looking forward to seeing once I go into photo editing. Which brings me to my next point, that a lot of my vibe is attributed to my photo editing, and I am a very much self-taught amateur photo editor. I use Lightroom to edit all my photos, and I'm self-taught through multiple YouTube videos and a couple friends' tips and tricks. But the Lightroom photos, I'll put up on the screen the difference between a raw photo straight from the camera and the Lightroom edited photo. And you'll see that there's such a vibe change from one to the next. And so editing really helps. I usually go for a little bit moodier, darker photos while still trying to preserve some of those bright whites and highlights. So within the photo shoot, I also can convey a little bit of the vibe through my styling. Some different ways I do this is through what shoes am I wearing, what earrings, what's my hair look like, am I tan at all, or are we working with just some real translucent pale winter skin, and am I wearing any makeup? Usually, I'd say almost always the answer to that is I wear very minimal makeup just to cover up any sort of like acne scarring. Every once in a while I'll put on a little bit of mascara to help my eyes pop, but otherwise I do very minimal makeup for my shoots because I want to preserve that very earthy, human feel to the photo shoots. I try and choose shoes that are at least earth toned. I admittedly have a really hard time with shoes. I'm a bad shoe styler, and I don't know. I've gotten shoes just like from Kohl's. Admittedly, I have these really cool special handmade clothing, and I'm off buying shoes from fast fashion companies. But sometimes I wear Clarks. Sometimes I wear my Birkenstocks. Sometimes I'm just like, take the shoes off. I'm gonna go barefoot. And I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out my shoe game, to be completely honest. But I do try and go with earth tones at the very least, if not, with natural materials. Some other things, my earrings, I do sometimes often have earrings that are from local businesses. I love supporting local jewelers. I love a good dangly earring. Sometimes I'll stack like 3 earrings that have all 3 holes pierced, and so I like to kind of add that extra texture as much as I can. And I also try and add a lot of that texture with my hair. You'll see some of the photo shoots, it's just crazy wild hair. I have pretty curly hair, but it's like straight on one side and curly on the other. And right now I got this haircut that's kind of like mullety, but it's also, I think it's called like a wolf cut, but it adds really cool texture. And every time I get new highlights, I'm super excited because I think that adds a lot of dimension to my curly hair, and adds a lot of intrigue to what's going on with my whole vibe. So I'm always really excited when I've got a new hair situation going on. And I can't control the tan for the most part. Sometimes I'm just super pale and I got to deal with it. And that's just what it is. And yeah, I think that's it for styling. I think that between the styling and the photography, I am able to sort of push my vibe, my earthy textured vibe, even further than just what the clothing shows it by itself. So that's the vibe, and I hope that this video has been entertaining or enlightening to you in some way. I'm not sure how you found my channel. I'm a very new YouTuber, but if you liked it and you want to hear more from me and more about my small business, if you're just a raving Charlie Darwin fan, that's awesome. Thanks for being here, and for watching my dumb face talking to this camera for my second video. And I really hope that, oh yeah, this is my second video. If you want to check out my first video about how I choose new designs, how I come up with new designs for my clothing brand and just for my personal handmade wardrobe, check out my last video where I talk about that a little bit more in detail. And please do subscribe if you're interested in staying tuned for future videos. I'm going to talk more about my photography, my outdoor fashion photography. I'm going to talk more about all sorts of stuff, styling, how I style my linen clothes. I've got like 20 ideas written down. I don't know, spoiler alert, I'm going to do some sewing tips, what I do to be eco-friendly, a little bit about behind the scenes of my marketing process for my business. And so if any of those interest you, I'm still winging it on this whole YouTube situation, but I hope this has been entertaining. This is the longest outro ever. Just like the video if you liked it. If you didn't like it, still like the video and buzz off. If you loved it, like and subscribe and stick around for more future videos. All right, bye.